and welcome. You're watching Your Trades. I'm Kavita Thaplayal. With me is Ankur Mishra. And Ankur, what an end to a week. The entire week of consolidation, and in the end, the market closes below 25,000 as far as Nifty is concerned, and down almost 140 points, and Sensex almost 500 points down, 81,757. That's the level, 0.5% down. Bank Nifty again loses almost close to 600 points, 56,283, almost 1% down in today's trade. Looking at the advanced declines, 1,002 advances, 1,765 declines. And if we talk about sectoral performers, biggest losers on Nifty today that we saw: Axis Bank, Shriram Finance, Bharat Electronic, HDFC Life, Bharti Airtel. While on the gainer side, we saw very few number, but then as far as Nifty gainers are concerned, we saw Wipro, Bajaj Finance, Tata Steel, ONGC and Nestle India closing on the green note. But having said that, except for media and metal, all other sectoral indices ended in red today, with Pharma, Private Bank and PSU Bank also ending in the red. FMCG, capital goods, consumer durables, telecom also down almost 1 to 0.5% in today's trade. What we also need to know is that the broader market too did not participate, and here also, Ankur, we saw almost 0.5% down, both on the mid cap as well as the small cap. So in your trade today, we are going to be talking about the entire week stone, and also we'll be preparing our viewers for the next week trade.
Definitely, but overall, if you see week-wise, actually real estate was something which outperformed throughout the week, and IT did not fall as much as the bad earnings. In fact, Wipro was up more than 2% in trade today. But apart from markets, what made the headlines today? Axis Bank Q1 miss. Slippages were higher, and credit cost were also something which was weighing on the stock. But overall, if you talk about IT sector, Wipro, LTI, Mindtree, Q1 remains steady there, and therefore Wipro was up today. Tech Mahindra also showed a mixed set of numbers. Apart from that, India UK is set to sign FTA next week, and that is ET Now exclusive. And ET Now has also been consistently reporting about SBI QIP, which has got 4 times subscription of over 1 lakh crore, and Trump is set to put 10% tariffs. That is also an ET Now exclusive, and that can happen on over 150 nations. IRDAI is mulling to hike rural obligation. ET Now had reported earlier that this will be raised to 15% versus 10% earlier. And Tesla enters India, opens showroom in Mumbai, and it is expected that the expansion will be there in other parts of country as well. West Asian tensions were there, and crude, crypto all soared in the week. But to understand markets and how one should make their strategies for the next week, we have 2 great analysts, Raj Deepak Singh as well as Sudeep Bandyopadhyay. Welcome to ET Now. First, I want to come to you, Sudeep. This week, we have ended below 25,000 mark, but the concerns, the tensions, the news flow remains the same as it was there last week. I want to understand from you, how do you assess the market direction now vis-a-vis the news flow still remains the same?
I think two distinct streams of info and news flow we need to keep our eyes on. One is what's happening in the global front, and predominantly that's dominated by the trade deal which India and US are expected to sign. Now, that has been since the 9th of July, and we are still waiting. There are multiple news which is coming, but till the time the deal is in front of us, we don't know exactly what it is. So it's kind of a lot of companies, a lot of businesses, and the market is on tenterhooks for that. So that's one part of the uncertainty which is plaguing the market. The second part is, of course, corporate results. It's nothing great which is coming out. By and large, it's around expectations. Leave aside, JSW Steel, which has beaten the expectations, or a Wipro, who has given a very good forecast about their next H2 as well as Q2. But by and large, the results have been subdued. So market, considering the valuation at which most of the stocks were trading, and considering the uncertainty and subdued Q1 results, is drifting downwards. That is our view. till the time there is a concrete positive news flow around the trade deal or good corporate results come out, I think we will continue to hover around this with a negative bias.
It can hover around the same level with the negative bias. That's the take coming in from Sudeep. And Raj, let me just ask you, do you second whatever Sudeep said? And also, we have heavyweight Reliance coming up with their quarter results now anytime sooner. So that will also reflect on the market trajectory on Monday as far as the expectations are concerned. So how do you look at the overall week in terms of market consolidation and today's end, and also the triggers that we might get from Reliance results?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me today. Well, after 3 weeks of almost a range-bound move, finally we have seems to find a direction. But if you look from the data perspective, then first Nifty is primarily moved by the FI flows, which is largely absent. And if you look at their short positions, so they are almost at their highs, peaks, what we have seen in the mid of the March series. So as of now, the data that remains a bit negative. And what I believe that the direction which we have seen so far, that is still more or so in the consolidation only. But next 2 weeks, that is going to be a directional one. So what we believe that particularly from Monday onwards, we should find a direction, and that to a major direction. As of now, I don't want to talk about the short covering move because there isn't anything which we can assume, or I don't want to preempt that short covering move. But considering the India VIX, which is significantly lower, if you look at the index options ATM prices also, they are way too low for Nifty to remain a range bound. So what I believe that in the coming weeks, next 2 weeks particularly, heading towards the July expiring, we should see a directional move. As of now, what we believe that perhaps 24,800 is likely to remain an important support. But below that, I won't be looking for any near-term support levels. It would be more of a sell on rise if Nifty is not able to hold 24,800.
All right. 24,800 is the support which has been suggested by Raj. Sudeep, I want to ask you, you mentioned about distinction about two types of news flow. One was earnings and one was, of course, the global news flow, which is continuing. In terms of earnings, this weekend and today actually is very, very important because Reliance is coming. You will have ICICI, HDFC Bank, all the heavyweights, especially for Nifty. The earnings are due this weekend. Do you think there could be a different direction when we meet on Monday?
Oh, yes. These three stocks together is about 30% of Nifty weightage. So definitely, if they come up with results which are, direction, gives a direction one way or the other, a market will move. Expectation is kind of very positive from Reliance. As far as both the banks are concerned, expectations are mixed. After the Axis results came out, I think there are a lot of concerns as well, particularly on the growth side. Let's wait and watch what happens. But yes, you are absolutely right. If they give some results which is indicating a direction, market will take the cue and move.
All right, Raj, let's also talk about the banking sector out here. So far, as far as the PSU banks are concerned, since last few sessions, we've seen a downturn, but then, before that, we've seen a good run-up in this particular space. Talking about beginning of next week or entire next week is concerned, your take on the entire PSU bank sector?
See, as a sector, I would be still skeptical in the banking names. And if you remember, or if someone has looked at the data points, then perhaps from the beginning of the series, most of the both private sector heavyweights and public sector heavyweights, they are having their highest call basis of this hurdle at the ATM call strike itself. In some of the banks, it was even at ITM strikes. So going through the month altogether, none of the banking stocks were able to perform the way they should have after that rate cut driven by, or the expectation from the market. But I believe that Bank Nifty may continue to underperform the rest of the market. That is on an immediate basis. And unless we don't see any kind of short covering, I don't think it would be prudent to go for preemptive buying or making long position in the banking space.
All right, that's the advice which is there on banking sector. But I want to ask you, Raj, about the IT sector as well. If you even compare week on week scenario, the fall would be 0.5% or 1%. And that is despite 3 to 4 earnings, which has been a disappointment. What is your outlook on IT sector? What does the chart suggest?
Uh, IT as a sector hasn't seen that kind of short build-up, what I believe, while the results were a bit of disappointing in nature. But in terms of overall structure, perhaps the downside seems to be limited there. They might not be able to decline that much what people are expecting. So at current juncture, but we believe that either there is going to be a consolidation or some sort of positive move even from current levels that we can expect in the IT. I'm not going to short IT back.
Deep, what's going to be your view, especially on tier two? You're talking about the mid-cap IT space. Do you think that's going to be exciting, and someone who really wants to stay put in this particular sector should be looking on the tier two counters or maybe initiating something so they have a better projection?
Well, I think two things. One is, tier two, I'll definitely look forward to Coforge numbers. I think this is one company which has been beating expectations and performing exceedingly well. So I would definitely watch for their numbers. But if I have to pick something from the entire universe, probably I'll look at, the large cap ones only. And Wipro definitely deserves a look, considering the confidence with which management is, reiterating that their Q2 numbers as well as H2 numbers will be much better. So yes, Wipro is talking about coming back to growth, and valuation wise also it's attractive. So one can look at that. As far as the other, mid-cap IT companies are concerned, one has to be extremely careful about the valuation. Look at LTI Mindtree. I think the numbers were pretty good. Management commentary was good, but the stock is still correcting because the valuation was and still is a bit rich.
You did mention about your pick in the IT sector, but I want to ask about defense sector as well. How do you see this sector performing, particularly in Friday? It was a kind of a dragger.
Well, I think defense, fundamentally, I do like defense, and it's a long-term bet. And one has to remember that the valuations are not cheap. So if you're looking at a long-term, investment, long-term view, I think some of the defense stocks, even at current valuation, definitely good, because they have a strong order book. They will continue getting better and more orders. The execution will be phased over a period of time, and over a period of time, valuation will catch up and move ahead of the current fundamentals. But as things stand today, the valuation is far ahead of the fundamentals, and to expect a short, medium term significant upside, I think it's a bit unrealistic considering where these companies are positioned.
Raj, you mentioned about your view on the banking, but there is a clear distinction in terms of market direction, PSU banks versus private banks. While PSU banks has been outperforming in past 2 weeks, private banks have not done that great. What is your assessment in terms of picks of in terms of private or PSU banks?
See, I think both PSU as well as the private sector bank, they are going to consolidate in the near term. On an immediate basis, if we have to look out for any positive momentum, if at all we have to look out, if we have given a choice and we have to pick one, then perhaps it would be the PSU banks. But private sector, that might consolidate a bit more before finding a fresh up move.
All right, and also, how do you look at metals, because that is always a news specific sector. Sudeep, I want to understand from you, because there has been a lot of news flow recently, and metal has been, if you see past 1 week, it has gained momentum of around 1%, but again, it is much dependent on the global news flow.
Oh, absolutely right. Metal is always a sector which has a lot of global inputs. And at this stage, I think, if I look at a medium to long-term trend, the trend is positive, undoubtedly, and metals over a period of time will do well. Short-term fluctuations, short-term price movements will be there, and there will be volatility because inherently with global news flows and global demand supply, prices of metals move, and hence the stocks also move. But from a long-term point of view, these are positive. Particularly on domestic scenario, I do like Vedanta quite a bit, and this is in spite of all the reports and other things which are coming out. Fundamentally, the company is in strong businesses, and there is a significant value unlocking happening. And it's not a matter of speculation, it is happening. It has already happened. The execution is getting done. So it's a matter of time before the benefit of value unlocking accrues to the Vedanta shareholders as well. So yeah, if somebody has to look at metals, Vedanta definitely good. Apart from Vedanta, we do like Hindustan Zinc also. I think zinc, of course, they're the leaders and all that. Along with that, the silver, and both these two are metals are gaining momentum significantly. The company is doing exceedingly well, and one can look at Hindustan Zinc as well.
So Vedanta and Hindustan Zinc are picks by Sudeep Bandyopadhyay. But Raj, what are your stock specific picks if one want to invest currently?
In terms of a stock pick, I would go for a bit defensive, and considering the expected volatility in the market, I would prefer the names where I believe there would be less of volatility. So if you look at the Biocon, so for almost in a year, it has tested these 400 levels 5 or 6 times, but never able to surpass those. Even today, it closed just tad below 400 odd levels. What I believe that the way option writers are moving away from ATM strikes to OTM strikes, at the same time, we have seen a long build-up in the stock open interest. So perhaps there is a further room, and it is holding the gains despite all the market weakness. So perhaps in the next couple of weeks, we might see a further move, and 5 to 8% sort of move in stocks like Biocon shouldn't be ruled out even from the current levels. But instead of going naked buying, just considering this volatility, it would be better if one can protect by buying ATM put itself.
All right, that's advice coming in from our experts. Sudeep, Raj, thank you so much for joining at this hour. And with this, it's time for a wrap in this edition of Your Trade. Thanks for watching. On behalf of the whole team of ET Now,